Dave McHugh says presumably the Filoni crossover film will be the second or third part of the trilogy. Also, if the Filoni film is meant to be part three, they can write part two now and then greenlight the film after The Mandalorian and Grogu comes out. Hey, Dave, we're on the same page there. I think that's what they're planning on doing. Jon Favreau has said many times in the past that he has ideas for infinite amounts of seasons of Mandalorian. He said he'll tell as many stories as he can possibly get. How do they turn that into and tie that into what Filoni was working on and their Thrawn conflict and all that type of stuff? I think that's really the key. If you gave Jon Favreau endless money to tell Mandalorian stories, he could tell an hour and a half long Mandalorian episode every couple of years. We'll see how much of the groundwork this first film lays. I feel like this first film is going to be very much indicative of season one. It's going to be all about the Mandalorian and Grogu. It's going to be them fighting the Empire, and it's going to be a very simple underworld story with some Imperial stuff thrown in, and then maybe at the end you get a cameo or two or some references to the larger galaxy, but it's going to be pretty self-contained. That's what they did in season one. It was its own thing for the entire time until you get the end with the Darksaber reveal, and then that set off a huge chain of events, and the name drop of the Jedi by the armorer, all that stuff set up season two, where they would get a lot bigger, and the Mandalorian and Grogu would connect to the larger galaxy. The second film to be Sigourney Weaver's characters like, hey, you guys were out of the fight, but we really need you now because we have this new threat, this Thrawn threat. We need you to take down one of his top lieutenants. We think you can do it. That'll probably be the second film. And then the third film, I don't know if Filoni's film should be part of the trilogy, though. I feel like it really should be kind of the epilogue, the capper, because if you're going to do a trilogy, presumably you're setting up other characters and other things, right? So I still think it's a huge mistake for them to make this big capper film using Ahsoka characters and different characters from their TV streaming without ever making them have movie appearances.
Yeah.
That can either mean Ahsoka is like a co-lead of Mandalorian and Grogu 2, which a lot of people won't like, and I personally wouldn't love that either. Or that can mean Ahsoka gets her own film, or Boba Fett gets his own movie. If they do that, if they go that truly traditional MCU route, how long does it take before we get the second movie to the third movie? Because I mean, similarly to Iron Man, we got Iron Man 2 years later, got Iron Man 2, and then you had to wait till after the Avengers before you got Iron Man 3. What are they going to do? How are they going to structure that? I think that's really interesting. Obviously, we can't really predict until after we see the first one, but I'm with you, Dave. I think they need to get these ideas going in anticipation of the first one being a success. Because I think if the first movie makes 700 million worldwide, they're greenlighting a second one instantly.
I think it's all basically already soft greenlit. I don't see a universe in where it won't make that now, especially because now we've got no Avengers film in May. This is Star Wars is to live on and die on, right? This is the traditional month of Star Wars. This is the start of the summer blockbuster season. Star Wars has put it out there early. They probably already heard from the Disney executives long before to not worry about that placement. And now, we're in a good place. So I think we're basically already getting a soft green light for season two. It is like Liam was saying, is it going to be a direct sequel to it? Or are we going to get like a continuation of Ahsoka and those characters that survive from that show into here? I don't know if I'd want them to be the leads per se of the second. I'd kind of almost want the second film to be the Mandalorian Grogu characters and a couple more new characters, and then tease them or have them cameo at the end. I don't want the same issues that we've had with the MCU where we have some really important stuff happen to a character like in WandaVision, and then because they're thrown into the film and you're kind of forced to translate that character almost immediately, you're like, okay, or that doesn't make sense. Obviously, you can see if Ahsoka survives and comes to the main galaxy, she does become a lead of sorts, especially because we've already had Din Djarin and Grogu meet her. I think it'd be a nice way of like connecting the dots. Like, wow, we've all gone on very interesting journeys, haven't we? And now we're facing a common enemy. But as a second one, no, because again, I think we need to flesh out almost like a movie universe of characters, movie exclusive characters, which shouldn't just be dependent on everything that we saw from 2019 to 2024 for everything we saw from the first three seasons of Mandalorian, everything we saw in Book of Boba Fett, what we saw in Skeleton Crew. There's always a blend of the underworld. There's a blend of the official stuff, a blend of the heroes and villains kind of doing their own thing. I think that's where a second movie will have to focus on building out the movie universe of that, of the New Republic, of that conflict, and then the third one can then truly bring all these other TV show characters that will be important by the time we get to hopefully that Filoni film as its own kind of not standalone, but a concluding act.
Well, and I think you don't want history to repeat itself as well, right? Jon Favreau directing Iron Man, kickstarting the MCU, directing Iron Man 2, they force in so many different things, Black
Yeah.
Widow, Shield, Nick Fury, all that stuff. It's one of everybody's least favorite MCU movies. I mean, they're already starting to sprinkle the seeds, right? Because we have Zeb seemingly playing a pretty big role in this film, or at least a role that's big enough to put him in multiple trailers that they've shown to people at these conventions. If Zeb's a part of this, you have that Rebels connection. We know Ezra's back in the main galaxy. We know Chopper and Hera and Jason, they're all there. Do you bring in different characters along the journey, right? People disagree with us often on our opinion on Mandalorian season 2. But one of the things I thought worked really well about the Mandalorian season 2 was you were able to rope in all of the big characters without forcing it. It was organic. A part of his journey was finding a Jedi, and he's able to meet these different people who know Jedi as he gets closer and closer to finding the Jedi in Luke, right? And so do you have that similar thing? If he's hunting down somebody related to the Shadow Council and Hera's been involved with tracking down the Shadow Council and he has to talk to Hera for a scene, and then he talks to Ezra and he's like, "Oh, you're a Jedi. My, Grogu's got force abilities and stuff like that." Like, I think there's ways to naturally work this stuff in to where, if you get a Zeb as a co-lead or a supporting role or an Ezra as a supporting role, those types of characters don't take away from the Mandalorian as much. I think in Ahsoka is her spotlight is too big for her to be a co-lead. Like, I don't want the second movie to be The Mandalorian and Ahsoka. And we'll see if they decide to make Dave Filoni's movie now instead of the Capper an Ahsoka movie. I think they're waiting to see Ahsoka season 2 whether the interest is there. So I think we'll see Mandalorian Grogu 2 far before we get an Ahsoka movie. But I think that their ideal world of this is basically redoing the entirety of this New Republic era in streaming and trying to make it a little bit better with all the things you've seen: an Ahsoka movie, a Boba Fett movie, Mandalorian, multiple movies, taking other characters and making movies. They have a lot of different things that I think they would like to jumpstart in that cinematic universe fashion before going with this Dave Filoni movie. So I truly just feel like Dave Filoni's movie, while I feel like it'll still happen, that one to me is the furthest away because I think they're trying to figure out this era. Hello there, Star Wars lads fans. Thank you so much for watching this video. This was actually a clip from one of our live streams and Q&As. So if you'd like to join us every single Tuesday around 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, make sure you join us. It'll allow you to ask a question that might be turned into a video. Hopefully you join us. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below all of your thoughts on this clip. Thanks for watching, and we will see you all next time.